Hello, I did indeed promise you a small mini lesson and an activity to go with it for this week while I am not here. So what I want to jump to is chapter 15, which is weathering and mass wasting. Mass wasting refers to significant movement of a lot of material. So material in mass is being moved and being wasted, therefore. So let me see if I can put this in a mode that makes sense to you, and hopefully you can see this piece here. So basically what I'm hoping, and I'm going to skip through this, hoping that you would be able to read chapter 15 and get some of this on your own, but I want to make sure I hit some of the big points. In that weathering is the breakdown of rock materials. It's taking a big rock and making it a smaller rock. It has nothing to do with movement. So weathering is simply taking a big piece, making it a small piece. That can happen through physical methods, so like pieces kind of smacking together and breaking pieces off. That can happen through chemical methods. So if you have, like, remember when we saw the rocks and minerals, and some of them used acid and we had to drop the acid on it. If you have enough acid, it can make that rock piece or mineral piece smaller through like being dissolved. So weathering is a breakdown of rock materials at the surface. Whether that's physical or chemical does not matter. They're both weathering processes. They are exogenic processes, so things that happen at the Earth's surface, on the Earth's surface. We can subdivide this a little bit more. We can look at what's called mass wasting, and that's a gravity-derived movement. So we see movement coming down the hill. It's driven by gravity, downslope. We see rocks falling, landslides, avalanche, all of those things are related to this. They're usually very high energy, and so those are some options there. Most people get weathering and erosion mixed up. Weathering is the physical breakdown of the rock. Erosion is the movement of that sediment from one place to another. So rivers can carry rocks and erode them. You can also see weathering happening within the river, but it's commonly a place of erosion. It's moving it along the river. So I'm going to, again, skip through a few of these because I just talked about those. We can see different types of weathering. We talked about physical and chemical. We can have thermal expansion. So if you have something that gets hot, it kind of expands most of the time. Also, if we have water that seeps into cracks and freezes, when water freezes into ice, it expands. So that can push some of these pieces of material away in what we call an ice wedging or a freeze thaw. In a similar manner, we can see salt crystal growing. If you have salt dissolved in the water, it can grow and push the material apart. Some of these I've talked about. Biological elements. If you have a lot of hikers on a hiking path, they can be responsible for weathering the ground. Different types of plants, when they put their roots push through the ground, or like worms and things that burrow, those can also help to break down material biologically. Let's see, what else? And I really just want this to be a short little video recap of the highlights, because I'm hoping that you will have read chapter 15. Okay, so we see differential weathering and erosion, and that just means that different areas or different places within a big area will erode and weather differently. So the example here is Arizona's Grand Canyon. If you've ever seen a picture of the Grand Canyon, and if you haven't, please pause this video and go look on Google. You'll see areas that they have a nice vertical slab of rock. And then there are areas where it's kind of sloped in, followed by more vertical slab of rock. So that is differential weathering. Different rock units in the same area are being affected by the forces of weathering and erosion in different ways. So some rocks are more resistant, other rocks are weaker and will have more dramatic effect. The degree of your slope is really going to affect how material moves down slope. So if you have a motion we call creep, usually that's a slow speed, just straight down a hill. We can have falls, like rock falls, things like that. Those are usually fast fall movements with a very steep angle. Avalanches, usually also a very steep angle, moves very fast. Slump is kind of rotational. So we see this a lot here in Michigan even with trees. If you know how a tree grows, it grows up, right? Like these trees behind me. But sometimes you'll see a hill slope where the trees are kind of growing curved at the bottom. That's because they started out growing like this and then the ground moved and started to rotate its way down, and the tree still wanted to grow up. So I challenge you over spring break this week to go to a nature preserve or a park or something like that where there's hills, and see if you can find some of these trees that have been affected by slump. Otherwise, we can have debris or mud flows. Those move fast. Slides like rock or debris slides, those also move very fast and can be devastating. Depending on what the material is and where it's going and who it's hitting. These next couple slides are all just kind of more details on those. So if you want more details than I'm giving you right now, go back and check the slides and read the book again. So in a nutshell, we can have a couple different types of weathering processes, right? We can have physical weathering, chemical weathering, biological weathering. Erosion is the movement of the sediment from one place to another. Mass wasting is when we move a whole lot of hill slope via gravity, usually very fast. We have differential types of weathering and erosion. So some materials are sturdier than others and will hold up well against these processes. Other materials, not so much. Think of the 3 little pigs. One of them built their house out of straw and it did not withstand the wind, the rain, whatever else. One of them built their house out of brick and it did withstand those things. So you can think of the same thought process when we think about rocks like this. So what I'm going to have you do for activity this week, there will be a document uploaded into Moodle, and it's just going to have you do a little bit of exploration and answering some questions about weathering and erosion. And you can hang on to it and turn it in when we see each other next. So there's no reason to email me this document to get rid of it. If you want to get rid of it sooner, then I'll see you next time. You can drop it in the science building, room 105. That's the main science office, and they will get it to me. Anyways, I hope you guys have a great break. I hope you are safe and you get through this activity just fine. And if you need me, you can email me. But otherwise, I will see you in a few weeks. Bye.